So imagine you've just moved to China.
Okay, setting the scene.
Yeah. And you're feeling, pretty confident. You've been studying the language, memorizing your flashcards, doing the work.
You're ready to go.
Exactly. So you step into the elevator of your apartment building. It's like 8 in the morning. And your neighbor gets in.
Oh, the classic elevator encounter.
Right. She smiles, looks right at you, and asks this very simple question. She says, "Have you eaten?"
And you translate it perfectly in your head.
You do. You formulate an exact, grammatically flawless answer, and you proudly say, "Yes, I had eggs and toast."
Oh, no.
Yeah. And she just looks at you, gives this confused little nod, says, "Oh, good," and walks away.
Leaving you completely bewildered.
Totally. You're left standing there wondering what on earth you did wrong. I mean, you answered the question.
It is the ultimate invisible tripwire, honestly. You translated the vocabulary flawlessly, but you completely missed the cultural frequency.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We are going on a mission today to decode the hidden mechanics of cross-cultural communication.
Because it's so much more than just words.
It really is. Our source material today is this fascinating educational voiceover script. It's designed to explain Chinese and foreign cultural differences to language learners.
And the entire script anchors itself on that one incredibly common everyday greeting.
Right? The phrase, "你吃了吗?" or "have you eaten?"
This deep dive is really about moving past literal translation. We're looking at the rule books that actually govern human connection.
Because if you only learn the vocabulary of a new culture,
Yeah, without understanding the psychological framework underneath it.
you're going to spend a lot of time feeling very confused in elevators.
You really are.
Okay, let's really look at the anatomy of that confusion. Our source walks us through this narrative of a foreign friend who has just arrived in a local apartment community in China.
The great breakfast misunderstanding.
Exactly. He has that exact elevator interaction we just imagined. He hears, "Has you eaten?" His brain recognizes it's 8 a.m., recognizes the topic is food, and deduces that this is an inquiry about his breakfast.
Which makes perfect sense if you're using your native operating system.
Right. What's fascinating here is how the brain defaults to what it knows.
Yeah, in his native cultural rule book, a sentence ending in a question mark usually demands a factual data transfer.
If someone asks for information, you provide the information.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this, because to the foreigner, answering eggs and toast feels like a total victory.
He nailed the grammar.
Right. But to the neighbor, it's completely jarring. It is exactly like someone in the U.S. walking up to you on the street and saying, "What's up?"
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Right. And imagine you respond by stopping, pointing directly at the ceiling, and exhaustively listing the light fixtures.
Well, there's a ceiling fan, a smoke detector.
Some recessed lighting. It is a massive category here. You've answered the literal words, but you've entirely missed the social function of the phrase.
That is a perfect illustration of the mechanism at play. To the person asking, "What's up?" an inventory of the ceiling is just bizarre.
Because they were never asking for an inventory.
No, they were establishing social harmony. They were acknowledging your existence in a shared space.
The humor in our source material, though, is that the situation keeps escalating for this guy.
It doesn't stop at the elevator.
It doesn't. He survives the elevator, gets to the office, and a colleague walks by and asks the exact same thing. "吃了吗? Have you eaten?"
Poor guy.
He is probably, a little confused, but he gives the same answer. "Yes, I had eggs and bread."
Just sticking to the facts.
Yeah. But then, at lunch, he's near the office pantry. And a third colleague asks him again, "Have you eaten?"
At this point, the foreigner starts spiraling into genuine paranoia.
He does. He starts wondering, do I look malnourished? Is my shirt hanging off me?
Why is everyone in this country so obsessively concerned with my digestion?
Exactly.
Eh?
It's so funny, but you can see how it happens.
He is experiencing the friction of two totally incompatible social operating systems grinding against each other.
Right?
The locals are deploying a soft, frictionless greeting meant to just, lubricate a social interaction.
While the foreigner is treating every interaction like an interrogation.
And you can see how quickly that literal interpretation breeds real anxiety. He feels scrutinized.
When in reality, he is just being warmly welcomed.
Exactly. It's a gesture of inclusion.
But let me push back on this a little bit on behalf of you, the listener, who might be trying to wrap their head around this.
Sure, go ahead.
If this is just supposed to be small talk, why use a phrase that sounds so inherently transactional?
What do you mean?
Well, it feels like a trap. If I ask someone, "Have you eaten?" Aren't I inviting a literal response?
Ah, I see.
Aren't I risking them saying, actually, no, I'm starving. Let's go get a massive lunch, when all I want to do was say hello?
Okay, that assumes the other person is also operating under a transactional framework.
Right. Which they aren't.
Exactly. Within this culture, there is a mutual, unspoken agreement about what this specific phrase actually means.
And the source material actually gives us a formal concept for this, right?
Yes, there's a formal concept for this. It's called hanquan.
Han Swan.
Essentially, it means small talk or a polite greeting. When two people engage in hansuan, they aren't exchanging data.
They are exchanging goodwill.
Precisely. It is equivalent to an English speaker saying, "How's it going?"
Oh, that makes sense.
When you ask a coworker, "How's it going?" you are absolutely not asking for a detailed chronological breakdown of their emotional traumas or, like, their lower back pain.
Definitely not. You're just being polite.
You are offering a social handshake.
Okay, so there is a specific choreography to Han Swan, just like there is to how are you?
Right. There's a script.
Because we all know the answer to how are you is fine, thanks, even if your car just caught on fire in the parking lot.
Yeah, you just say you're fine.
So what is the expected choreography when someone asks about my breakfast? How do I navigate this without accidentally committing to a meal or sounding like a robot?
Well, the source provides a very clear functional guide for this exact choreography.
Okay, lay it on me.
The most common scenario is you simply want to return the social handshake.
Just complete the circuit.
Exactly. You say, "Chile, ne," which translates to, "I have. How about you?"
Chile, neme.
Or just, "Chile exi," meaning, "I have. Thank you." Boom. The Hanshuan is complete. Social contract fulfilled.
Simple enough. But what if I genuinely haven't eaten? Does admitting that violate the social contract?
Not at all.
Does it suddenly make the conversation super awkward?
No, if you haven't eaten, you simply say, "Hi, mana," not yet.
I mean,
Right. Because it is Hanshuan, answering not yet doesn't suddenly obligate the neighbor in the elevator to pull a sandwich out of their briefcase.
right. They aren't expected to feed you on the spot.
It is just the alternative, equally acceptable response in the dance.
But surely there are times when people actually want to get lunch.
Oh, of course.
That seems like the real danger zone for a learner.
How do you distinguish between the phatic, empty, "have you eaten," and a genuine, literal, "let's go eat"?
This is where context and conversational clutches come in.
Conversational clutches.
Yeah, if you want to turn the polite greeting into an actual meal, you open the door yourself. How so?
You say, "Hi, mana," and you shinme tujianma.
Which means,
Not yet. Do you have any recommendations?
oh, I see.
By explicitly asking for a recommendation, you signal that you're voluntarily downshifting from abstract Hansun into a literal conversation about calories.
That's a great tactic. But what if they are the ones trying to initiate a real meal?
Context gives it away,
Just read the room.
pretty much. If it's exactly noon, you are standing in your office and your colleague walks up and says, "Have you eaten? Do you want to go together?"
Okay. Yeah.
That is a literal invitation. The environment, the time of day, and the addition of "do you want to go together" completely change the function of the phrase.
That makes total sense.
Okay.
But a neighbor in a hallway at 8 in the morning?
Pure Hansuan.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting to me. I grasp the mechanics of Han Swan. I understand that it's a social proxy for hello,
Right.
but why this specific proxy? If a culture needs a phrase to establish social harmony, why did they settle on digestion?
It's a great question.
Why focus on food? Why not just use a direct translation of how are you feeling?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, we uncover a rather profound historical reality.
I love when the history explains the language.
We have to look at the immense historical weight behind this particular greeting. For a vast portion of China's history, securing daily meals was not a guarantee.
Right, there were times of real hardship.
Periods of intense scarcity were real and devastating. Having enough food to eat wasn't a given. It was a pressing, daily, existential concern for millions of people.
So asking someone about their meals wasn't originally a metaphor at all. It was literal.
Precisely. In the past, asking, "Have you eaten?" was a literal measure of a person's physical survival.
Wow.
You were genuinely asking, "Are you making it? Are you surviving today? Is your family secure?"
It was an inquiry rooted in urgent, desperate care.
Yes.
That completely reframes the entire interaction. The foreigner in our story felt scrutinized, almost invaded.
Mhm.
But historically, that question comes from a place of deep, profound compassion.
And over generations, as society stabilized and food became plentiful, the literal life or death regency of the question faded.
But the warmth remained.
Exactly. The phrase shed its anxiety and evolved into the daily, informal social glue that we see today. But it never lost that echo of care.
That's really beautiful, actually.
As the source emphasizes, in Chinese culture, eating transcends the mere consumption of calories. It is intimately tied to family, to health, to hospitality, and to reunion.
Food is the ultimate symbol of well-being.
It really is.
That is a phenomenal evolution, and, it's not entirely alien to English speakers either.
How so?
It reminds me of the phrase, "Are you making a living?"
Oh, that's interesting.
If you strip that down to its absolute literal meaning, making a living implies generating the bare minimum resources required to not die.
Literally staying alive.
Right. It used to be a question of biological survival. But today, if I meet you at a cocktail party and ask, "What do you do for a living?" I am not questioning your ability to stave off starvation.
No, you're just asking if I'm an accountant or an architect.
Exactly. We took a survival-based vocabulary set and repurposed it for polite social categorization.
That is a brilliant parallel. Both phrases took something that was once an existential anxiety and smoothed the rough edges off until it became an everyday pleasantry.
It's just wild how language does that.
When you understand the historical gravity of "have you eaten?" it stops sounding like an invasive medical question and starts sounding deeply human.
It is a linguistic fossil of survival.
Perfectly said.
And our source material reveals that this pattern, this anchoring of greetings, intangible reality, it doesn't stop at food.
No, it extends to a lot of other areas.
There are several other common Chinese greetings that, to an outsider relying on a literal rulebook, sound completely invasive.
Yes, the source lists a few other classic examples. Imagine stepping out of your apartment and a neighbor in the hallway says, "Kwai and A."
Which means?
Where are you going?
Okay, if I apply my native English rulebook to that, my immediate reaction is defensive.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm like, where am I going? Why do you need to know? Are you tracking my movements?
It feels like an interrogation.
It feels like I'm being questioned by a security guard.
Or another common one is Zuijin Mangma, which translates to, "Have you been busy recently?"
See, that one feels like a setup. Like they are about to ask me for a huge favor.
Right. Or perhaps the most confusing one for foreigners. You walk through the front door, someone looks right at you and says, "Hilela."
Meaning,
You're back.
your back is hilarious to me. It feels incredibly redundant.
It states the obvious.
Yes, I am physically standing in the room. You just watched me open the door. Obviously, I am back.
Right. Why say it?
Why state a fact that is currently happening right in front of both of us?
This raises an important question about how different cultures choose to map their reality through language. Let's synthesize the pattern we are seeing here.
Okay.
Think about typical English greetings. How are you? How is your day going? These are inherently abstract.
Yeah, they really are.
They ask the listener to pause, run an internal diagnostic, and summarize their emotional or qualitative state.
I literally have to evaluate my existence and assign it a rating from terrible to fantastic.
Exactly. It focuses on the internal abstract self. But Chinese greetings, as highlighted in the source, frequently use the small, observable, physical details of daily life to weave social connection.
Tangible things.
Yes, you're back. Where are you going? Have you eaten? They anchor the interaction in the undeniable physical reality of that exact moment.
So it's not a question, it's an acknowledgement.
Bingo. By saying, "You're back," they aren't questioning reality. They are acknowledging your presence in their shared space.
I see.
They are saying, "I see you, and your arrival is noted and welcomed."
So what does this all mean? We've looked at the breakfast misunderstanding, the mechanics of Han Swan, the profound history of food scarcity, and these hyper-tangible greetings.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
Yeah.
But where does this actually lead us in our mission to understand cross-cultural connection?
It leads us directly to the most critical foundational concept in the source material,
Which is
guanxin.
guanxin, care or concern.
Yes. But it's more than just the dictionary definition. The text uses guangen to illuminate a massive philosophical divide in how different cultures express love and affection.
Oh, this is the deep stuff.
Let's look at many Western cultures. We place a massive premium on verbal, direct declarations.
You really do.
We are conditioned to state our feelings out loud. We say, "I love you, I miss you, I care about you."
We believe that making the invisible emotion visible through words is the highest form of expression.
Yes.
We want it on the record. If someone doesn't verbally declare their affection, we sometimes get insecure.
We need to hear it.
We wonder if the feeling is truly there, even if they do nice things for us.
Yeah.
The words act as the validation.
But in Chinese culture, Sin is fundamentally indirect. It is highly action-oriented and deeply embedded in the mundane details of daily life.
It's about what you do, not what you say.
The source points out a classic example. Chinese parents might rarely or even never say the explicit words "I love you" to their children.
Which, to a Western observer relying on a verbal rulebook, that might seem cold or distant.
Right, but those parents are constantly, relentlessly expressing Guanxin.
How do they express it, if not with words? By asking if they've eaten.
That is a primary way, yes. But it extends beyond that. They will say, "Don't skip meals."
Or, it's cold out, drink something warm.
"Go to bed early, be careful on the road."
Make sure you wear a heavier coat.
Exactly. Why does this culture prefer this method? Because words, frankly, can be cheap.
Anyone can say an abstract phrase.
But anticipating someone's physical needs, ensuring they are warm, fed, and rested, that requires tangible effort.
That's a profound difference.
One culture believes care is best expressed through a direct emotional declaration. The other culture believes care is best expressed by actively removing the physical discomforts from someone's life.
This is such a crucial realization for you as a learner, or honestly just as a human interacting with the world.
It changes everything.
If we strictly use our own cultural habits to judge the intent of others, we don't just misinterpret words. We miss the affection entirely.
And that is the real tragedy of relying solely on literal translation.
Yeah, without doing the work of cultural translation.
This creates a massive empathy blind spot.
Imagine growing up in a culture that validates love through spoken declarations. And you interact with someone who expresses their deepest affection through indirect, practical, physical care.
You are going to completely misunderstand them.
You really are.
Yeah.
You are going to mistake a profound gesture of love, like someone hovering over you saying, "Drink warm water, put on a coat," for annoying, overbearing nagging.
They'll push them away.
You mistake a friendly, communal, "but I see you and wish you well," like, "Have you eaten?" for nosiness.
Yep.
You walk right past the love because it didn't come in the packaging your brain was trained to recognize.
Which is why understanding this concept is so liberating. The source text makes it very clear. Neither system is inherently superior. A direct declaration isn't better than indirect action. Anticipating physical needs isn't better than verbal validation. They are simply different operational frameworks for expressing the exact same universal human emotion.
But the moment you learn to read the other person's framework, everything shifts.
Everything.
Those moments of friction, the ones that make you feel paranoid in an elevator, suddenly transform into moments of profound warmth.
They become moments of connection.
That is the ultimate takeaway from our deep dive today. Understanding the mechanics of one simple phrase, just 3 words, "and shilama," doesn't just give you a new vocabulary word.
It gives you a new perspective.
It stops you from feeling interrogated and allows you to feel welcomed. It shows us that understanding a seemingly quirky habit, like expressing care through tangible, daily details rather than abstract feelings, opens up an entirely new lens for viewing the people around you.
You start judging the output and start appreciating the intent.
It requires us to look past the literal dictionary definition and find the beating human heart underneath the language.
Well said. We saw how historical food scarcity profoundly shaped the Chinese phrase, "Have you eaten?" turning an urgent question of survival into the gentle, everyday glue of society.
It really makes you think.
And this raises an important question for all of us, honestly. Take a moment today to examine your own native language.
Oh, this is a great exercise.
Think about the throwaway greetings you use every single day, the ones you fire off without thinking. What if they aren't empty filler at all?
Like, "What's up?" or "How's it going?"
Exactly. What if your casual greetings are actually deeply profound historical markers, secretly broadcasting exactly what your ancestors feared, valued, or needed most to survive?
That is wild to think about.
Next time you casually say hello, ask yourself, what ancient history are you accidentally repeating?
It really makes you reconsider every conversation you've ever had. You step into an elevator, someone asks if you've had your eggs and toast, and suddenly you aren't just making small talk.
No, you're not.
You are stepping into centuries of history, survival, and a beautiful indirect way of saying, "I care about you." Just remember, no matter what they ask, you probably don't need to list the light fixtures.
Definitely skip the light fixture.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.